Today, we're making tuna carpaccio with yellowfin tuna. For me, every time I have yellowfin tuna as a sashimi, it has this wonderful tomatoey texture and flavor to it. So I thought today, to accentuate that with a bit of tomato and garnish with a bit of basil. So, very simple. First, we make our tomato water. Tomato as an ingredient is extremely high in umami because they contain a lot of glutamic acid, the G in MSG, nature's MSG that is. And a lot of this glutamic acid is actually in the seeds, which often goes to waste. One way to extract these wonderful flavors is simply by salting the seeds. So that's exactly what we're going to do. When it's not tomato season, you're always better off using cherry tomatoes. They're normally more flavorful. All right, for one portion, that's plenty. And we'll add a tiny bit of basil just to reinforce the taste that we're gonna add later. Perfect. Now, all we need to do is to salt this very generously. And this will be our seasoning. So we're not gonna add salt to the actual tuna. And the salt would draw out the moisture, particularly from the seeds, and we'll have our tomato water that's full of umami. We leave this to the side while the salt does its magic, and we carpaccio the tuna. So you want it paper thin. For a serving plate like this, we'll use half of the tuna. For carpaccio, I generally prefer yellowfin or sockeye, never bluefin, because the bluefin akami, they're way too strong and way too powerful. You're much better off having it as a sashimi with a bit of soy sauce, just to cut through the richness. So just because bluefin sounds cool, doesn't mean you have to use it for all your dishes, even if cost is not a factor. So that's a decent size. Now we grab cling film, we covered our board, we add beautiful tuna back in the middle. If you're buying a whole piece of tuna, I will actually slice it with the grain. That way you'll have a thin carpaccio with more uniform texture. But if you're only buying a slice, this is the way. You cover the top, you find some heavy object, and you first gently pound it to flatten this. Carpaccio was originally a dish at the famous Harry's Bar in Venice, invented by Mr. Cipriani himself. But the dish was actually named after a famous painter who, even though deceased at the time, his paintings were really popular in Venice. Now, once you have a decent thickness, to take this to the next level, you want to grab some parchment paper and put this on top, because then we're automatically non-stick. You grab the heavy object again, and this time you really spread it to the sides. Carpaccio as a dish is not just for the aesthetics. What we're doing now actually changes the texture of the dish quite dramatically, making it even more tender. I'm happy with this, I'd say. Perfect. Now we find a presentation plate. What I like to do is I simply press the plate down, and immediately I know the shape I want to use to present it in the middle. We simply follow the shape and we cut. Perfect. Of course, this is for presentation. We're going to use the rest. Now we have our extremely thin tuna carpaccio that you could almost see through. We remove the top layer of the cling film, grab the plate right in the middle, and now we carefully remove the other side. How beautiful is that? Now, to dress it, we have our beautiful umami-rich tomato water that's also salty. To that, we add some extra virgin olive oil. Oh, amazing. We very carefully brush this on top. The plating idea I stole from Mr. Eric Repairs, the Bernardin, of course. Beautiful. And just because it's named after a painter, we do our best. Close enough to the tree in Young Night in the Landscape. And this is yellowfin tuna carpaccio with tomato water and basil. I really hope you enjoy.